Finally, an answer to the question, where can you get a great bagel in D.C.?
And travel expert Samantha Brown with tips on taking that dream vacation.
All of that, plus the top stories from the News Rundown, are straight ahead on this edition of We Are Washington. Welcome to We Are Washington. Coming up, if you've lived in D.C. for any number of years, you've probably noticed that our friends from New York tend to complain a little bit about the lack of good bagels in our city.
True.
But a hometown hero is changing that. We're going to bring you the story behind Bullfrog Bagels.
And later we catch up with everyone's favorite travel expert, Samantha Brown. She's going to tell us how to make 2018 the year that dream trip becomes a reality. And all of that and so much more. But first, here's our news rundown. Mayors from all over the country gathered in Washington for the 86th winter meeting of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. The USCM is the official organization of cities with populations of 30,000 or more.
This conference provides such great inspiration and support where we can come together to share great ideas and learn from one another. And let us always remember that in doing our jobs as mayor, that retooling and getting those ideas and that sharing is also very critical to the work that we do.
Mayor Bowser was elected to the U.S. Conference of Mayors Advisory Board at the winter meeting. Among the featured events during the three-day conference was a launch of mayors and CEOs for U.S. housing investment.
The coalition brings together a diverse mix of 14 mayors from around the country with business leaders to fight homelessness. The launch of the bipartisan Housing Investment Coalition took place at the John and Jill Kerr Conway residence, which provides affordable housing for vets and exemplifies the kind of public-private partnerships the coalition aims to promote.
We talk about how we expand pathways to the middle class in our city, a fast-growing city where housing costs are high, where there's great opportunity, but also a great divide. And so I am always reminded, and I want to remind our team, what we're fighting for is the security of all of our residents to have what we have. And that's the ability at each and every night and each and every morning to think about going home.
For more information about the coalition, visit housinginvestment.org. Hundreds of volunteers hit the streets with Mayor Muriel Bowser to help count D.C.'s homeless population while spreading awareness about services available to them. The annual point-in-time survey uses a snapshot in time to estimate the U.S. homeless population. The survey includes people in D.C. shelters, transitional housing programs, and those living on the street.
The Edgewood community is getting a new state-of-the-art recreation facility. The mayor helped break ground on the new rec center in Ward 5. The project includes demolishing the existing Edgewood Recreation Center, which was constructed as a field house in 1947.
Fitness trails, a new gym, a new indoor gym. We're going to give you a new revitalized field, new revitalized tops on your basketball court and tennis courts. We want to make sure we do that for you here in the Edgewood community.
This community center will build this community, and I just cannot wait to break this ground.
The new recreation facility is expected to open in spring of 2019.
After 10 months of renovations, the Palisades Library has reopened to the public. The neighborhood library has been transformed with $8.2 million worth of updates, including floor-to-ceiling windows to bring natural light into the space. The library also features a green roof, new interior and exterior, and a variety of technological upgrades.
This modernized Palisades Library really offers district residents features that they have come to expect from the libraries, all the city's new libraries. But it also preserves the unique character of this classic mid-century exterior. It respects the past and it embraces the future, and it provides visitors spaces and services that were simply unimaginable in the building that we closed.
Palisades is the district's 18th library to be modernized since 2009.
What will the new year bring for the district's financial outlook? That was a focus of the D.C. Building Industry Association CEO Forum. Area business leaders gathered to network and discuss forecasts in investment and development. Mayor Bowser delivered opening remarks at the forum and described why 2018 is off to a good start in the district.
People are coming, people are staying because they see our city as a city filled with opportunity, easy access to services, strong neighborhoods, robust public transportation, improving schools, and a very vibrant cultural scene.
From street lights to a new firehouse, residents got to speak directly with the mayor on a variety of topics at the Deanwood Citizens Association meeting. Agency directors also joined the monthly neighborhood discussion to answer questions on public safety, transportation, and education. The mayor's office on Latino affairs is reaching out to immigrants with Know Your Rights town hall events.
A recent town hall at All Souls Church in Northwest focused on temporary protective status, or TPS. The workshop featured presentations by community-based organizations, private organizations, and law firms that work on behalf of immigrants in our city. For information on upcoming town halls, visit ola.dc.gov.
We were delighted here at the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment to host about 20 middle school girls from the KIPP Academy. The girls ages 11 to 14 are part of a STEM program and are interested in pursuing careers in technology. The students toured our studios and got the chance to hear from women who work with cutting-edge technology here at the agency.
It's one of the most highly anticipated social events in Washington, the UNCF Mayor's Masked Ball. The Mayor's Masked Ball raises funds to support scholarships and programs for nearly 4,000 students from the greater Washington, D.C. area who attend United Negro College Fund member institutions. Revenue from the ball has grown 200% since the inaugural event in 2013. The ball includes a live auction and attire is strictly formal, and of course, you can't forget your mask.
All right, a lot going on, of course, but we have just a quick moment to recap everything, the news recap today. Let's start with the Mayor's Masked Ball. I was wondering, have you ever been to a masked ball yourself?
I haven't, and I'm feeling like I'm overdue for a masked ball, so we're going to have to figure out how to get some tickets to this event.
I'm in the same category, never been, but it looks like a nice affair. Everybody dressed up really nice, and an elegant mask, nothing too over the top.
Right, it still is D.C., so people tend to still be just a little bit conservative.
Yeah, keep it cool, right? Exactly. But, of course, it looks like a fun event, but it's important to highlight, too, that as we laid out in the story, it really does raise the profile of HBCU schools and provides for hundreds of kids with millions of dollars worth of scholarships to be able to attend school here in the DC region. So
yeah, great cause.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention about the Palisades Library. That's so exciting. I really think these modernized libraries have such an instant impact in a community. I know that, living in Mount Pleasant, I remember when the Mount Pleasant library was renovated, it just instantly made a big difference. And what's nice about libraries in neighborhoods is that it's really for all ages. And it's such a nice gathering place.
And of course, the MLK Library was still a little ways away from that one, but I know people are anticipating that as well. And talking about communities and community centers bringing people together, the Edgewood Rec Center, which if you saw that video, there were a lot of excited people who were there to attend the groundbreaking because this is really going to benefit that community in a lot of great ways. And these rec centers, they really do. They provide so much between fitness, community gardening. Obviously, there's a lot that you can do, a wide range of things that you can do there. So this is really going to be something that can transform and change a community too.
Yeah, and imagine if you have a family in that area, just the fact that they're going to redo the field to have, an area like that for teams who are always looking. DC's kind of a small city, so we always need more fields. So it's going to be a great thing for that neighborhood. Coming up after the break, we're unlocking the secret of making a great bagel, and hint, it's a lot like making a great pizza. And later in the show, the hottest travel trends with Samantha Brown. Welcome back to We Are Washington. One of the things that we love to do on this show is to highlight the great made in DC businesses, products, and all the foods that are across the district. So today we're someplace that's taking a New York classic and turning it into a DC original. We're at Bullfrog Bagels. So we're inside now with Jeremiah Cohen. He runs Bullfrog Bagels, and I have to ask you first question, the most important question. Every city outside of New York, I feel like they're always trying to figure out that secret, that how to get that good bagel, the chewy bagel, the nice outside. How did you unlock that secret here in DC? How did you bring that here to DC?
Well, you first have to know what a good bagel tastes like, and it's got to be a little bit like crispy on the outside and kind of chewy and moist on the inside.
Exactly.
And it can't be too light and it can't be too dense. And it's got to have a good like flavor, almost like a malty flavor. And if you're missing any of those, it's not a good bagel.
How did you know that there were people out there looking for this and how to get it to them, to do this and bring it to DC and make it here in DC?
Well, I saw that a lot of bagel shops in DC were either national chains that weren't even, they were like not boiling the bagels in the traditional way.
And that's a big part of it, right? You gotta boil
Yeah,
the bagel.
we boil the bagels. There were other bagel shops that were getting bagels sent to them from New York, frozen.
Oh wow, okay.
To then be potentially boiled or just baked off.
A lot of people, when they talk about making bagels, there's always the, oh, it's the tap water of New York that makes them special. But what about, what is it that makes these bagels made in DC for you, you know, in terms of what makes them that classic made in DC?
Got it. Okay, so New York City tap water is delicious. You cannot, it is some of the best tap water out there. But they always said that you couldn't make, well, it was the reason for good pizza and bagels in New York City.
Yeah.
And DC tap water, which has been improving, wasn't always that great.
Okay.
Okay, and so basically people gave up on the notion that they could make good bagels here. And in New York, they, as part of a marketing scheme, in my opinion, they always touted that the tap water was the reason for the great bagel. All right.
Okay.
So the first, I think that's a myth. I think if the water is good enough to drink, it's good enough to bake with.
What's the perfect bagel? Like, what if you were to make a bagel right now for yourself for lunch? Like, what do you think is the perfect bagel?
Okay, well, I like the simplicity of it all. Okay. So I would take a poppy seed bagel.
Okay.
I'd run it through the toaster, put some butter on it.
All right.
And then I'd take some of our really good breakfast sausage and cut those links into half and sandwich them right between the poppy seed bagel. And then I would just like take a nice, happy bite out of that sandwich.
I have to see how they're made. Can you take us back and show us how they're made?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
So this is our bagel boiling station right here. And you can see that I'm not using a traditional kettle. I'm using a giant 120 quart stock pot.
So every bagel has to be boiled before they're baked.
Yeah, and also if you notice this, the liquid isn't just clear water. There is it's almost like a bronze.
Oh yeah. It's a
brownish dark color.
Right.
Okay. So these are pretty nicely proofed bagels.
Okay.
They're somewhat fragile, but they keep their form.
They do, yeah.
And let's walk over to the kettle here. I'm going to carefully drop those in.
You're smelling all of those different the bagels cooking, whether it's garlic, you smell like the poppy seed, the sesame seed, but all of it comes together in this really nice aroma. You know, just to walk into the place, it's like good morning. You know.
Yeah, I mean we're probably steaming some. We heat up pastrami that we make and corned beef, so you get sort of like that. The peppery, black pepper smell of the pastrami. All right, so
stand out of your way. I don't want to be in the way of the hot boiling water.
Look at that.
Wow.
Nice and shiny. They keep their form, and these are all hand rolled. So I'm I'm operating out of a pizza mentality here.
Right.
So each bagel is like a little pizza. We use a pizza peel.
Okay.
We don't have a revolving oven, bagel oven that like weighs like 5 tons and takes up half this room. And so those are going to be nice poppy seed bagels.
All right. So they got to boil for, you said about a minute or two. How long do they bake?
Well, they bake maybe 8 to 10 minutes.
Wow, there they are.
I mean, look at that.
That's some nice
that's
color.
kind of like a perfect bagel.
It's a nice color on it. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow. And like I said, the smell in this place, and when they first come out of the oven, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, they're not, like this isn't perfectly round, but I'll tell you it tastes really good. All right, so it came out of the oven literally a minute ago. If you cut a bagel the way I'm about to cut it, 99% chance you will not cut yourself.
All right, I gotta see this then.
Okay, so ready? So I put the bagel flat on a cutting board. I push down a little bit, just softly with my left hand, and I go with a serrated knife like that. And I go about halfway, and then I turn it and go down.
Look at the steam coming off of that. Wow. Jeremiah Cohen, Bullfrog Bagels. Like I said, it smells delicious in here. Thanks for showing us around and how to make the now classic DC bagel.
I appreciate it. Thanks for visiting us.
Coming up, travel guru Samantha Brown and what you need to know before planning your next getaway.
Welcome back to We Are Washington. I'm here with Samantha Brown. She is a travel expert and host of Places to Love, and we love having you here, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Tell me, it's a new year. A lot of people are thinking, I want to have that big life-changing trip for 2018. What are some of the hot destinations this year?
I think for hot destinations, people really love Asia. And that could be anywhere from China to go to Beijing and see the capital city and the Great Wall and these big exclamation points of travel, as well as Southeast Asia to have a more personal experience with the people, the food. Maybe they don't have as many monuments, but they have beautiful temples, so it's more about immersion in a different culture. So whether you're going for something really historic or something a little more everyday slice of life, Asia is a huge destination that people are really looking into this year.
And, you know, for all of these places, you have to get over kind of the sticker shock, usually of the airfare.
Yeah.
So what are some cost saving tips for budget-conscious travelers?
I think for those big bucket list trips that people have been dreaming about, they've been dreaming about these for years. And if you're just starting to dream about going somewhere, get on alerts right away. Just sign up for I love airfarewatchdog.com. You just plug in your airport, and then every single week you're sent the cheapest air flights departing from your airport, so it gives you a better sense of what's affordable to go. But also you start to now see what the price of that ticket usually is. And you know, okay, to get to China, it's usually $1,200. All of a sudden you get an alert and now it's $600. We got to go. Jump on that. So it's just like creating your own knowledge. They're all different types of like, hey, do you book a flight at Tuesday at midnight? Or I have no idea, and I don't book travel like that. But I do pay attention to airfare of places that I've always dreamed about going.
So you know when you're getting a deal.
I know when I'm getting a deal. Not when some website says, okay, this is a deal. I've tracked those flights for a year now.
And airfare is really only one way to really save money. It's a big way. But also, more recently we've seen a huge growing industry with Airbnbs and home exchanges. And, what do you think about that on the whole? Do you think that's worth exploring, especially for families where it can be quite expensive to, say, take a family of 4 to Europe? I mean, do you think that's a good thing to explore?
Absolutely. I think places like VRBO, which is Vacation Rental by Owner, HomeAway.com, Airbnb, they all make travel accessible, even that far off travel. Hotels are expensive, and for a family, it's hard to get joining rooms. And so we're looking into apartments. It's coinciding with this desire to be staying in neighborhoods and maybe not in the tourist centers. That also alleviates the price tag. And because of Uber, and I know there are some cities Ubers aren't allowed in, you can get anywhere you want to in the tap of an app. So travel, more so than ever, has been so accessible to all. And these far off destinations that were once prohibitively expensive are actually now attainable.
Very exciting changes that we're seeing. And, I liked what you said when you were speaking earlier. You mentioned about creating rituals. And I think that ties into what we're seeing, in kind of changes in travel where people are staying in neighborhoods, maybe doing Airbnbs and really living more like locals.
Yes.
Tell me why it's important when you're doing these big trips to try and create some rituals.
Yeah, so my create a ritual tip is basically do one thing, the same thing at the exact same time every single day. So for me, that is the coffee shop that I begin my day at. So even if I'm staying in a hotel, I do like a walk around my neighborhood, and it's a cafe that the locals go to. And what this does is because, one, I think Americans, we're very productive. We like to be productive with our time. And there are so many things to keep in our head of what we should do. Do you have the tickets? Is it going to rain today? How are we going to get there? Creating a ritual just allows you to zone out.
Well, thank you very much. I'm already imagining myself sitting back.
Yeah.
For me, it's
wine,
Paris.
Paris,
Shanghai.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, but somewhere exactly.
Exactly.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for all of your
My
great
pleasure.
tips, and we'll be watching Places to Love. Thanks so much.
So those are some great tips.
Yes, they
Where are
were.
you going to take your family?
Well, all right. So for me, I think that if I was going to go on a trip, it was going to be somewhere like a beach resort.
Okay.
Someplace maybe
That
tropical. But it seems like a lot of the places that they're talking about and a lot of places that were sort of featured there are more immerse yourself in culture.
Exotic, yes.
Exotic, right? So, but I mean, was there anything about just going and relaxing on the beach? That's
No,
what
you're not allowed to do that.
No.
Okay.
It has
you can
to
stay
be-
home for that.
If you go away, it has to be a trip that you take and you learn something, right? Is that the point? Okay.
Exactly.
No, me, I'm more about just relax on the beach a little bit.
Well, that definitely works too.
Okay.
That about does it for this show, but we do have time for one last thing.
We have a very big one last thing today. It's huge.
Okay.
It's
On a different scale
it's on
altogether.
a whole other, it almost shouldn't be one last thing. It's bigger than that. No, but a really interesting story from the DC area that they found dinosaur footprints recently at the Goddard Space and Flight Center, the NASA Space and Flight Center, just a little north of the city. The story goes that oddly enough, a dinosaur track expert was dropping his wife off at work.
What are the chances?
Just happened to be looking over at a rock formation that seemed peculiar to him. So he went over to investigate, found a dinosaur track. They excavated it. You can see here, the pictures are just crazy of this. They excavated it into this 8-foot by 3-foot slab and found that there were more than like 70 prints from 8 different species, different dinosaurs, things like this. So that means dinosaurs were stomping around right here in our backyard.
So this is really historic. I mean,
Right.
It's almost like too good to be true. You almost wonder, are we getting punked or something?
I know,
Is this,
it's-
But
Right.
what I loved about this story was this dinosaur expert.
The expert.
I mean, he talked about that, after he saw the footprint,
Right.
he just couldn't sleep for days. I mean,
had
this
to
is
go
like the
back.
best thing. If you're a dinosaur expert, like this is like, does not get any better than
Right.
this,
Can you imagine you just looking at it? I wonder if that's a dinosaur track over there. And it turns out it was.
Yes.
That's a great story. Really interesting story. Well, that is all the time that we have for today, but we'd like to thank you for joining us for the show and remind you that we have plenty of other programs, plenty of other shows we'd like you to check out. Search Entertain DC on our YouTube page. And you can hear us on DC Radio, 96.3 HD4.
See you next time.